Hello, bonjour, ciao, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Tolu and I'm going into my first year of studying medicine at the University of Oxford, and I wanted to film a quick video. Okay, it's not going to be quick, but I just wanted to film a video based off of my experiences so far and the journey I took to get into this position. I'm going to include some timestamps at the bottom just to show you guys the specific sections that I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to be discussing school and academia, my work experience in volunteering, and some other general things that I've done as well. So start off with school, academics. I've always been the kind of person who would work really hard to get the grades that they wanted. I've always aspired to achieve A's and A stars. And I knew that the only thing in the way of me getting those top grades was if I worked hard. So whenever we had tests in school or homework, I'd honestly do the absolute most. I'm not gonna lie about it. I usually did the absolute most to make sure that I understood the concept that was taught to me, to make sure that I just got to grips with whatever was explained to me in my lessons. So I made sure that almost every day after school, I'd be revising, I'd be working to make sure that I got the grades I wanted. So for my GCSEs, I received 3 9s and 7 A stars. And if you're not familiar with the numbered system, the GCSE grades now, because they're a numbered system, no longer letters, they range from 9 to 1, where 9 is an A star, and 8 is about an A star, 7 an A, etc., all the way down to 1. So I received 3 A stars and 7 A's. And that was a result of me working really hard and knowing that I wanted to get those top grades. And because of the GCSEs I received, that kind of made me realise that I could achieve more great things, I guess. So at that point, I realised, you have some good GCSE grades, Tolu. There's nothing stopping you from applying to top universities now that you're doing your A-levels. So that work ethic continued throughout my A-levels. So for my A-levels, I did biology, chemistry, maths, and further maths because I'm a logical person. I really enjoy calculations and working things out. So I felt like those were the best subjects, and they're quite a notorious combination of subjects to choose if you want to do medicine. So chemistry, absolutely loved that subject. Biology, a bit wordy, but again, really enjoyed it. Maths, great, and further maths too, also fantastic. But then I realised, when applying to my universities, I only actually needed 3 A-levels. So I felt like the right decision for me was to not jeopardise 3 of the subjects that I needed by doing a 4th A-level. So at the start of year 13, I then dropped my further maths down to AS because I thought to myself, it's better for me to work and have more hours to study 3 subjects than it is for me to spend less time on 4. So I dropped down my further maths to an AS because I'd already spent a year learning it and continued the rest of my subjects as a full A-level. And year 13 was a lot harder than I was expecting it to be. We were always told that the jump is going to be from GCSEs to A-levels, when actually, in my opinion, the jump is mainly from year 12 to year 13. So you're expected to work more, do more, and trying to balance all of that was quite difficult. But at the end of it all, it paid off because I received 2 A stars and an A. So for me, that was definitely a fantastic achievement because that's what I was predicted and that's what I got. Because the grade requirement for Oxford at this current moment in time for medicine is 1 A star and 2 A's. So I even exceeded the grade requirements, and for me that was amazing because I was so worried about achieving those grades because A-levels are difficult. But at the end of it all, I got it, we're here, so I'm pleased to bits. So in terms of academia, I worked really hard and I got the grades that I aspired to get. But in school in general, I did a lot of things behind the scenes as well, because there's more to school than just grades. And I know that sounds really weird, but I wanted to help my school community. Because of all the effort that my teachers put into helping me, I wanted to try and do some things myself to help them. So from there, I applied to prefect roles, ambassador roles, and other positions. So I was a mental health ambassador because I felt it was so important to get people talking about their mental health and to ensure that people felt safe and comfortable to have those individuals within school that they could talk to. I was a prefect in year 11, and in year 13 I was deputy head girl of my school. So again, I used that role to help within the school community and help out teachers and students combined, and sort of act as that bridge between those two groups, because sometimes students are less willing to easily confide in their teachers. So knowing that there's another student available for them to talk to if need be, that was great. So I did that, and I guess that helped contribute to my application because it showed signs of leadership, signs of time organisation, because I had to balance revising for my subjects and my exams and working hard to prepare for things like my school prom, assemblies and other things that was needed for the school. So that was my time within the school. But again, other than things that I did in school, I did a lot of things behind the scenes, and all of my friends and teachers in my family knew that I did a lot of work behind the scenes. So more things for me to try and balance. So with your medicine application, it's really, really important to try and immerse yourself, show that you're willing to volunteer and that you take your time out to do some work experience that are linked in with medicine. I was a member of St. John Ambulance for 4 years. And St. John Ambulance is an amazing, amazing organisation that helps teach you first aid and allows you to provide said first aid out at events. So in my 4 years of being a cadet at St. John Ambulance, I've helped volunteer at local football matches, at Wimbledon, so you know, the tennis, Lord's Cricket Ground. I attended Trooping the Colour, and that was just through volunteering with this organisation. And not only that, the organisation allows you to continue to develop your leadership skills. So there's opportunities for cadets and young people to put themselves out there and learn how to liaise with their peers and just to learn a range of new skills. So luckily enough, I was appointed a non-commissioned officer. So essentially I was titled Cadet Corporal. So I was again a bridge between my unit manager or my unit leaders and the other cadets. So if they needed any help with anything or needed to confide about any subjects, I was that person to talk to. And I helped sort out the unit nights, so helped people learn drill, teach other people subjects, and just be that person to sort of act as a middle ground between those two sorts of groups of people. From then, I wasn't only a non-commissioned officer, I was also titled, initially, District Cadet of the Year for South London. So the way St. John Ambulance works is you're split into regions, then you're split into districts and then areas and so on. So there's different levels of people and different levels of groups all across the country working with St. John Ambulance. So I entered a competition and I somehow won said competition, and I was essentially an ambassador for all of the cadets in my district of South London. So I got to be the voice of the people, talk about issues that were happening in our district and help relieve said issues on youth panels, at events, and just be, again, middle ground for those people. And from that point onwards, I entered another competition, and this was on a wide scheme of things. So rather than just my district, we were then competing, or I was then competing for a bigger role. And at the end of this competition, which tested you on your first aid skills, your communication skills, your interaction skills, and your presentation skills, and a range of other things, I was then titled Regional Cadet of the Year for London and South. So that region consisted of London and essentially the south of England. So I myself was the ambassador for all the cadets in London and the south of England. So I was pretty chuffed about that, pretty relieved, and honestly, it felt so amazing because other than, again, acting as an ambassador for those cadets, I was invited to a lot of high-profile events. And I honestly don't believe that without St. John, I would have had the opportunities that I've had in my life so far. So during my time as Regional Cadet of the Year and District Cadet of the Year, because that was technically all merged into kind of 1 year, I was invited to Prince Charles's royal garden party. I met him, Camilla, Meghan, and Harry. Oh my god! Like, wow. That was a surreal experience. That was really great. And not only them, but I also met Princess Anne. I was invited to march at the Remembrance Parade at the Cenotaph, which is a once in a lifetime thing. St. John was amazing for me. I did so many things, I learned so many things, and all of those skills that I'd gained from my experience as a cadet, I can definitely continue to take forward with me. Because the first aid that I learned means that I now know how to treat people in case there's any issues that arise with them. And I know what to do in certain situations, which I feel like some people definitely underestimate, but first aid is so important. So if you're watching this, please go on a first aid course and learn some first aid, because you could save a life. So that was my St. John experience. But I didn't only just do St. John, I volunteered with a few other organisations along the way as well. So for a year, I volunteered with an organisation called Crossroads Care. So they partner you up with someone in your local area who would otherwise be alone. So I was paired up with a stroke survivor. So I'd visit her regularly and just talk to her and engage with her. And I was, I guess, a part of her journey with rehabilitation. So I just conversed with her, make sure she wasn't lonely, and for the year that I was visiting her, I definitely saw some changes and saw some improvement in her health. So knowing that I was a part of her journey to recovery was an honestly humbling experience, and helping people, if you have the time, is something that I definitely suggest that you guys do. So I definitely use my time or my spare time to make sure that I could at least help some other people out in their lives. So that was Crossroads Care. And another voluntary experience that I took place in was an organisation called Revitalise. So Revitalise offers respite holiday care for less abled people. So I spent a week of my Christmas holidays volunteering there to help their guests on their excursions, to eat, to have some leisure activities, and just generally be there to support them and help them out. And again, another humbling experience, because sometimes in your life you forget how fortunate you are. For me, so I got to learn a lot about people's conditions, how to help people out, and just learn a bit more about what people go through on a day-to-day basis. So I was able to reflect on all of my voluntary experiences and really utilise what I had learned to sort of show my passion for wanting to study medicine, because I've always liked helping people, which is part of the reason why I volunteered so much. And that sort of differed from my work experience. I had work experience at my local hospital where I was positioned in the radiography department. So I got to watch x-rays, CT scans, and just observed how people worked in the local hospital setting. One of my favourite parts of that work experience was definitely observing the catheterization lab. And that's essentially where you look at your blood vessels just to see if they're all checked out, I guess. So from there, I was able to watch and observe a range of healthcare professionals work together, which is essentially what I'm going to be doing in the future. So observing the radiographers, the nurses and the doctors, using their skills together to sort of help diagnose different patients that they come across. And that sort of exposed me and taught me how teamwork is so important and so vital. I was also very lucky enough to actually do work experience in one of the labs at Oxford, because they tell you with work experience, especially in medicine, it's kind of difficult to get if you don't know people. So I would go online, I would find emails, and I would literally email anyone I came across. And I wasn't necessarily expecting much out of it because I knew how difficult it was to get work experience in medicine. But luckily enough, someone actually responded to me. So I spent 2 or 3 days in Oxford working in their science labs, observing how research is done. And just to put it out there, I'm obsessed with the brain and neuroscience, and that's the field that I'm currently aspiring to specialise in. I was able to observe the different proteins that comprise of the brains. I was able to watch how CT scans of the brain were taken, fMRI scans, and honestly it was an amazing experience because it definitely developed my love and interest for the sciences and for the brain, and made me realise that I actually really wanted to go into this subject. So that was my work experience and my voluntary experience. And all of the things that I had done definitely showed how invested I was in wanting to study medicine. I knew from a young age that I loved the sciences and I loved helping people. And from that point then, I knew that wanting to become a doctor was the best way to combine those two traits together. So the things that I've done helped prove my interest for wanting to study medicine, which is essentially what you have to do if you want to apply to medicine. And in terms of applying to Oxbridge, in terms of really proving that you're interested in the subject that you want to be that you want to do, They are interested in aspects called supercurriculars. So rather than extracurriculars, they are very interested in something called a supercurricular, which essentially is an extracurricular activity, but it's more linked to your subject. So my work experience, my volunteering were classed as my supercurriculars, and I was able to utilize those skills I'd gained, the experiences I had been a part of, and the things I'd learned, and utilized it in my application, and just literally encompassed everything to sort of prove that, hey, I really want to study medicine. I've done all of this, I'm doing all of this, and I think this is sufficient proof to show you that I'm a worthy candidate to study this subject at your university. And I'm here. I did it, kind of. But yeah, so other than supercurriculars, extracurriculars, school and academia, and just those general aspects of things, I also did other things on the side to again prove how interested I was in studying this subject. So medicine is a demanding subject. You have to continuously learn throughout your career. There's no stopping, nothing is finite. You have to continue learning and studying throughout your time as a doctor. And in order to continue to show that interest in studying, I read quite a few books along the way, and I spoke about a few of those books in my personal statement as well. And out of all the books that I read, the one that I preferred the most was The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. And people will tell you it is such a bait book. However, because it was linking in with neuroscience and I'd shown passion for neuroscience by going about work experience in neuroscience, it kind of made things flow together and made it seem more connected rather than just me randomly doing bits. So I made sure that all of the work that I did connected and flowed so that if I were to talk about it, it all linked together and kind of made sense. I was also very lucky enough to be able to attend the Unique Summer School. So the Unique Summer School is a summer school run by Oxford and allows you to live the life of an undergraduate student for a week. So I attended the course for medicine, and it was honestly one of the best weeks of my entire life. I was essentially living the life of a medical student, attending lectures, sample tutorials, exploring Oxford, and just living my best life. So it was at that point of the Unique Summer School that I'd set in stone that I wanted to do medicine, that I now definitely wanted to apply to Oxbridge, and it just showed me that this is what I've worked for. Now that I'm actually here, it's an amazing feeling. Applying for medicine is difficult because you've got so much to balance and so much to do. So you've got a balance for your ucat or your bmat at the same time as you are revising for your mocks or your exams, at the same time you're doing volunteering and work experience, at the same time you're having a good social life. Definitely don't push your social life aside. Still enjoy life because these are your teenage years. Have fun, enjoy them, but definitely remember that you need to put in the work to get the grades that you want for medicine and to, or whatever subject that you want to do. But yeah, so that was my journey so far, and I hope some of the things that I've said is of use to some people. It's got me to this point and I'm so ready, I'm so excited to actually get to Oxford. I've got counting down the days, but yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and please like, comment and subscribe and hit that notification bell wherever it is. And I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much. Bye. I'm going into my first year of studying medicine at the University of